What up, people? It is your boy, Daddy Noland. Alright, guys, today we are going to do a data example review problem. Some of this is going to be what you learned yesterday, which is the mean, median, mode, and range. I'm also going to throw in the first and third quartile, which I made a video of, I believe. We're going to talk about the IQR, something new called the product, and then we're going to talk about outliers. All this into one video. Alright, so here's the example I made up. Here are the data numbers that we are given. The first step, always, put the numbers in order from least to greatest. So let's go ahead and do that. Looks like I got a 5. Then I have a 10. Then I have a 30. I have another 30. I have another 30. I have a 40. I have a 50. I have a 60. And then I have a 200. Alright, step 1 done, out of the way. Alright, I'm going to start with the range. The range is the biggest number minus the smallest number. So in this case, it is 200 minus 5, biggest number minus smallest number, which gives you a range of 195. The mode, the number that repeats the most. Well, looks like the only number that repeats here would be the 30. So there's your mode. The next one is the median. This is your middle number. Now remember, you take one off the front, one off the back, one off the front, one off the back, one off the front, one off the back, one off the front, one off the back. Ooh, what am I left with? I'm left with that 1 all by itself. That is your median, that is your middle number. And then finally, we have the mean, which is your average. Add up all the numbers. Then divide by the total numbers you see. Then divide by total amounts of numbers. Alright? Well, 200 plus 60 is 260. Plus 50 is 310. Plus 40 is 350. 350 plus 30 is 380. 380 plus 30 is 410. 410 plus 30 is 440. 440 plus 10 is 450. 450 plus 5 is 455. I'm going to come write this right down here. So I have 455, and I'm going to have to divide that by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, let's see. How many times can 9 go into 455? Well, this is going to be a tough one, isn't it? How should we do this? Well, top in, bottom out, like we have here. We know 9 can go into 45 5 times. I'm going to add a 0 up there. Can 9 go into 5? No, it cannot, so I'm going to add a 0 down here. 9 into 50 5 times. Notice how this 50 keeps repeating right here. So your average is going to be about 50.5 with a bar over it repeating. That is your average. So the mean is 50.5 with the bar over it. Look how easy that was so far. All right. Now I'm going to take my data I have in order from least to greatest, and we're now going to have to figure out my first quartile. Now, the way we're going to do this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 numbers. I need to find my median again. So this number 30 right there, I'm going to circle. That's my median. Okay. Notice how I have 4 numbers to the left of my median, and I have 4 numbers to the right of my median. I'm going to bracket those off. This is the first half of my data. This is the second half of my data. I now need to find the median of these 4 numbers. Take one off the front, one off the back. Notice how I have those 2 numbers left. What is 30 plus 10? Well, 30 plus 10 is 40, and 40 divided by 2 is 20. So your Q1 is 20. Now let's look at this one in the back. Take one off the front, one off the back. Notice I have those 2 numbers. I got to find the median of those 2 numbers. So 50 plus 60 is 110, and 110 divided by 2 gives you 55. Well, would you look at that? So far we've gotten the mean, the median, the mode, the range, the first quartile, and the third quartile done. The IQR now is the Q3, which is the 55, minus the Q1, which is 20. Well, 55 minus 20 gives you 35. Woo, we're on a roll. Look how easy this is. Now we're going to find something called the product. The product is you take your IQR, which we just figured out was 35, and you're going to multiply it by 1.5. Okay, so let's see if I can do it off to the side here. 35 times 1.5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. Add straight down. Move my decimal back. I got my IQR, I got my product. My product is 52.5. Okay. Now, we still need to figure out some extra data. This next piece is going to help us figure out our outliers. So what you do is you take your Q3 first. My third quartile, which was 55, and you have to add the product, which is 52.5 to it. So let's see, 55 and 55 would be 110. I'm going to take 2.5 away from that. So that would be 107. I got 107.5. I'm going to double check with this thing called Dinosaur. It's my, that would be my flip phone. Look at this dinosaur thing. I just want to check and make sure I did that math right. So 55 plus 52.5. Oh, 107.5 is good. Then I'm going to take my Q1, which is 20, and I'm going to subtract my product from it. Okay, so 20 take away 52.5. Well, if you take 20 and you take away 52.5, you should get negative 32.5. Now, why are these two numbers so important? Because they're going to determine our outliers. Okay? If you go back to our data set, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can see. If we go back to our data numbers up here, do I have any numbers smaller than negative 32.5? Well, no, I don't. So there's no outliers on the smaller side. Then you take the 107.5. Do I have any numbers bigger than 107.5 in my data set? Well, yes, I do. This 200. So your outlier would be the 200. That means it's really not, it's part of the data, but it's all by himself. You know that song, All by Myself? Man, I'm a good singer. All right, so here we go. The last piece we're going to have is called the upper extreme. The upper extreme is the biggest number in your data set. Here's my data set. The biggest number is 200. Your lower extreme is the lowest number in the data set. Here's my data set. Lowest number is 5. Man, that was a lot of work, but that wasn't too bad. We're not done yet. I still want to create a box and whisker plot. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this page. I'm actually going to tear this page out. And I'm going to create a nice little box and whisker plot. So we have 0, 10, okay, this is the teaching moment. Notice how I'm going by tens. Would this be a good number line to use for my box and whisker plot? That answer would be no, it would not be. The reason being, I have this 200 way in here. This only goes to 100. So I'm going to have to change my scale. So I'm going to cross this one out because I'm not going to use this as my scale. Instead of going by tens, I'm actually going to go by 20s. Now it all fits. All right, when you're making your box and whisker plot, there are 5 things. So I'm going to write this down. When graphing a box and whisker plot, you need 5 points. Your box has 3 items. That would be your median, your first quartile or your Q1, and it also needs your third quartile or your Q3. Then your whiskers have 2 items. Your lower extreme and your upper extreme. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to start by plotting. I need my box first, so start with your median. So I go back to my data that we did. Your median, your middle number, happened to be at 30. So I need to put a dot right here at the 30. Notice how I'm going above my number line. I'm going above it. That way I can separate my data and you can see my actual box and whisker plot. Okay? Now I'm going to label them right up here. Median. I then need my Q1. So my first quartile Q1 is at 20. So I'm going to put a dot at 20. And I'm going to label him Q1. Then I need my third quartile, which is at 55. So a little more than halfway between 40 and 60. So I'm going to call him right here. And I'm going to call this one Q3. These 3 points create your box. So draw a line down through all of them, just like so. Then connect the top and connect the bottom. There's your box. Now your whiskers are your lower extreme. So I'm going to come back here. My lower extreme was at 5. So I'm going to put a dot at 5, which is close to 0. And what you do is you take your dot, your lower extreme, so I'm going to label that LE, and you connect them to your box. You have a box and you have a whisker. Then you have an upper extreme. Your upper extreme happens to be at 200. So put a dot over here at 200 and connect it to the box. There is your box and whisker plot. Alright, and now we're going to talk about there being 4, what's the right word? Your box and whisker plot has 4 data sections, I should say. I'm going to say it sections off into 4 quartiles. Okay, so we haven't learned this yet, but I just want to show it to you so you can at least see it. This first section, here to here, that is your first section. Then from here to here will be your second section. And then from here to here, this would be your third section. And then from here to here would be your fourth section. You will learn about this later on. I just at least wanted to show it to you. So, we did a lot on this video, guys. We started with putting the numbers in order from least to greatest. We found the mean, the median, the mode, the range. From there, we were able to figure out the first quartile and the third quartile, the IQR, the product. We then took the Q3 plus the product to get a number. We took the Q1 minus the product to get a number. Using those numbers, we were to determine our outliers. From our data points up here, we were able to figure out our upper extreme and lower extreme. We then used our data to create our box and whisker plot. So, alright guys, I hope this video helps you out. Some of y'all might want to rewatch this more than once. You will have a test on this next week. This should be our last test of the school year in just math class. That does not include your star. Alright guys, y'all have a great evening. Talk to you later. Bye.